everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, our weekly podcast hosted by Natalie McFarland, me, and founder and president of McFarland Productions, and Scout Foster, our outreach marketing manager. In these episodes, you can expect deleted scenes, in-depth campaign reviews, project highlights, marketing concepts, book reviews, and a deep dive into the creative process at Off Your Rocker Films, and of course, invaluable lessons on mentorship, leadership, and the business of it all. We are so excited to be releasing our episodes every Sunday as your soft launch to Monday. Hey everybody, welcome to McFarland Minutes, your soft launch to Monday, the second to the last episode, the one following the NFR, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, Click Thompson is hanging out with me today.
What's up? What's up? Happy to be here. Appreciate you.
So I'm going to out myself at the very beginning of this episode, and Click's heard this story before, and we giggle about it constantly. But
Best story.
before I had even met Click, we had a mutual client, and we were going to be working together at Pendleton Roundup. And I get on this call, and there's a few of the clients there on the phone, and they're telling me they're going to try out this new guy that they haven't worked with before. And I was like, okay, well, you know, who are you trying out? And they're like, Click Thompson. And normally I'm pretty good at like keeping the fangirling to a minimum, but like I am a Click Thompson fan. So right out of my mouth, I go, Click Thompson in the middle of the Zoom call with probably, I don't know, 10 people or something like that on the meeting. So I hang up with them. I get to Pendleton Roundup and I walk up to Click and I introduce myself and I go, I have to out myself before somebody else does because I straight up fangirled you about 20 minutes ago on a call.
That's awesome.
So anyway,
So hey,
Click Thompson.
hey, I guess my reputation precedes me. I mean,
It
hopefully
does.
more people freak out like that. I do demand, probably because of that story, like when I have friends in the industry and they're like, or they answer the phone like, hello, I'm like, first of all, when I call your phone, you need to act a little bit more excited when it's me. Okay. It's not like I call you every week. It's like once a quarter, if that. Need some enthusiasm,
Yeah, I
you
think
know.
everybody should get a smile on their face when they see Click Thompson pop up
Yeah.
on their caller ID. You know, we're always here for it. But
Pretty great. Yeah.
how was NFR?
The NFR, actually, I said it last night. It was slow and fast. Um, it was a unique year because it was kind of the first year that I felt like the veteran. Part of that was also the fact that the other girls that I were working with, it was their first year. So I was kind of the guy that had all the answers, even if I don't have all the answers. Or they would ask me, like, how does this work? Where do we, or I did like the tour of the arena, like, hey, this is when you can go. This is when you don't go. Don't die here. This is, try to avoid this. So yeah, like it was cool. I think it was the first time like feeling like the veteran of the NFR, which is a crazy concept when you break it down. Like you're the veteran of doing this part of the deal. Um, but yeah, it went really smoothly. Like really didn't have any hiccups, any kind of crazy issues. Like my team did really good, so that's always like I think for me that's kind of the meticulous thing about it is I probably I don't know if there's ever really a day off that you don't think about it, like because you don't know if you're going to go back, but you're always kind of planning to how can we improve, and that was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
my last message to my group is like, hey, like I don't plan on making any like personnel changes, so like let's start now thinking about we can make this deal a little bit smoother. Like obviously it wasn't perfect because it's never really
Sure,
going to be, but how do we get a little
because
bit
it's
closer to
event
that?
work and you can't get
Yeah,
perfect, you know. But
yeah. You just never
um,
know like who's going to get a card or where going to go. So yeah.
sure, yeah. Well, I mean, let's hang on that for a second. I think that maybe a lot of people out there don't realize that you have a team that comes with you. 10 days, 10 nights, and all the ancillary events and all your other engagements related to the NFR. Impossible without a team, I think. At least I think it's impossible to do it without a team. Talk a little bit about what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so the easiest thing to kind of explain to people is like on the days of the performance, we're in the building about 3 o'clock, and we generally don't leave until about 10 to 10:30 p.m. after we're finishing delivering stuff and things like that. But um, it seems kind of easy, but like the repetition can beat you up for sure, just in that little piece. And then beforehand, there's obviously we'll have like headshots, and then we have the back number ceremony and the awards banquet, and so you're just kind of preparing and adjusting for that. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and then like this year, I had meetings with committees, like from the final, like, hey, we want to hire you, but we've never actually met you. So you're trying to sneak in that time. You're trying to manage more. Like this year, I had two assistants, so like trying to help them manage their schedules of what they needed, um, and yeah, and then just like we're doing Instagram takeovers, we're doing, helping promote other things. I introduced this outfit of the day thing this year, which was
We're
apparently
going
was
we're going a great direction here.
you know, which was I mean, it was the thing. It was way bigger, or the response to it was way stronger than I expected. Like I knew people were interested in what I wore, but um,
Okay,
not to
but
that degree.
you are a fashionable individual, if I do
Yeah.
say so myself. Is but you don't really show up just in a standard Western shirt and pair of jeans and belt when you show up to the NFR. You show up in something a little cooler than that.
It's the NFR. I think, for those 10 days, you can kind of like I always. It goes back to the principles of what mom would always say of, don't shaming the family and always representing yourself really well. But like it's Las Vegas, man. Like if we can't have fun these 10 days, like what are
I
we
know.
doing, right? So I
Seriously.
mean, so like planning outfits and dressing up and elevating your look a little bit. And I think too by sharing what I do, that allows particularly the guys to see what the possibilities are for them, so they're not just sitting out in front of every store waiting for their gal to finish shopping. It's like, oh, maybe there's something in here I can actually incorporate into my deal and dress up
Yeah.
my look a little bit. So
Maybe
that's
I
kind of a
can
cool
play
thing.
this fashion week deal too.
Yeah, for sure. And it's cool to, as chaotic as it is nice having, you're almost kind of taking something off your plate as far as things to think about. Like, hey, this is what I'm going to wear this day. This is what I'm wearing this day. It seems like a lot, but like you've
If
essentially,
you
for me, when I
pre-planned
have so
it.
many yeah, when you got so many moving pieces, it helps, streamline your day a little.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of takeovers and outfits of the day, we were so pumped to have you again. This is the second year I think we've worked
Yeah.
together with Schafer Outfitter. Yeah.
Uh
So
huh.
tell me a little bit about working with Schafer. How'd you like that? How'd it
Schaefer's
go?
Schaefer's pretty cool because I mean, I've known about the brand and I've owned Schaefer products for forever, but um, and when you first do something, you're like, man, I hope I do a good job. I hope they enjoy it. Or you don't know what necessarily they want. Like you get your list of kind of what the deliverables or what they want you to do, but like how do you put your own twist on it? And that's the thing I've always done with any company. It's like, how do I put my spin on it where it feels authentic, or like what would I do? Um, and this year was really fun. Like last year, I had like one or two people visit the booth when I went over there. This year, there was about five or six people that came, like people I hadn't seen in years,
Yeah.
show up or I'd never met before. So that was cool. And then, um, and just interacting with people, it's weird how I immediately become like an employee all of a sudden. I'm like helping dress people. Or, oh yeah, that looks good. Or I tried that or whatever. It never fails. I do it at hat stores, wherever. I could probably sell mattresses too. But so that was a cool little incorporating that, and I got a cool jacket out of the deal, which was,
Yeah,
I mean,
I was pumped we got that worked out. That was awesome.
the
So for
yeah.
those of y'all out there that don't know, McFarland Productions manages brand collaborations for Schafer Outfitter. So we got to have a slew of influencers, be different people taking over the day. But I have to say, Click is always my favorite day at the NFR. So I always look forward to Click stuff because it's highly entertaining.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen. And I always end up finding something else that's cool there. Then I'm like, oh, I didn't see that, and then I have to remember
It's
to
a
look at
dangerous
this.
job
So
working for Schaefer, you know? Every time I walk in there, I have to like leave my wallet at home or it'll walk away and leave it at the Schaefer booth, you know?
there you go. There you go.
Okay, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that you have now 4 times in a row. You're the world champion rodeo photographer,
Yeah,
photographer of the year. Talk about that.
pretty insane, man. Like I think this was the first year that I actually associated the award with years. Like it's like, oh yeah, and then when you look at it, you're like, man, that's 4 years. And to my knowledge, like I think, as far as I know, I am tied for the most to ever receive the award, and no one's ever won it 4 years in a row. But you just, and the funny thing is, people think that I know, like I don't know until they say the name. I don't have a clue who's going to be, and to get up there, and of course, everyone was ranting and raving about my interview this year. But it's being the pro of being like having been interviewed or having been on podcasts, like you don't want to necessarily drag out your response too much. So when Andy's like, "What's your favorite picture?" the first thing I go is like, "Okay, don't take too long, don't drag it," and I'm just like, I haven't taken
The
it yet.
production guy in the back's gonna love you,
Yeah,
if
it's
you
like, how
just
do I,
shorten it.
cut
Haven't
to the
taken
chase,
it
but
yet. Yeah,
haven't taken it yet.
it was a great answer. Like I
Yeah.
think that's super true. I'm certainly not just doing photography, but I've had people ask, like what's the favorite project you ever worked on or whatever. And honestly, like there's always going to be a new favorite. Each year
Hmm.
there's going to be a new favorite. There's something special about each one, and I think there's like milestone or cornerstone projects or images or whatever that you take, but man, how do you ever nail down one? I don't think you can.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, like you said, there's milestone and cornerstone projects, and there's stuff as a creative, you are emotionally attached to certain things, and
Mm-hmm.
well, I love this, but I love this. It's like, yeah, it's like picking kids, where it's just like, but when it comes to your favorite, I think too, when I have a favorite that's like bounces in my head, then that's probably my the indication to myself, like, okay, hey, maybe it's time to do something different or switch it up, or
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like the feeling of feeling like you're done, at least not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Being a creative is can be a challenging thing. Especially like staying inspired, continuing to grow, all of that kind of stuff. When you are out there running around on the road, especially like a 10-day stretch like the NFR, how do you like manage your creativity levels by like round 8 when you're just like, I could probably drink a whole cup of coffee or a whole pot of coffee and still be tired? Like how do you manage that?
I think creatively sometimes it's just changing what you do, and I kind of use the same technique if I'm getting in kind of just a creative rut throughout the year. It's like, okay, maybe I need to shoot this wrong on purpose to see what
Mm-hmm.
happens. Obviously, you don't think about doing like R&D in the middle of the NFR, but you're like, you know what? There's three other people shooting. You know what? If I don't get it today, it's okay. Like, let's try. I always have what I call it the sell your farm day, where I usually put on like a 400 or something that's obnoxious for that room and that space, and just shoot the whole rodeo with it. And usually there's always something that comes out of that deal. It's like, man, that's really cool. But had I not given myself that freedom creatively, uh, then you may never have gotten that image, or you may never have seen it. So, but yeah, definitely over the 10 days too. It's nice now because we kind of do half and half, where we kind of shoot in the arena, but we also have our days that we're behind the scenes. So that does help keep it fresh. When I was
I
just doing the arena, yeah,
I
it kind
love
of
to
you're like,
break it up.
ugh.
I can't just
Yeah,
every day in the arena
yeah,
in the arena. I mean, I love the action stuff, but I might love the behind the scenes stuff maybe more. Maybe more,
yeah. There's so many good stories. Like there's always and especially with the NFR, there's always going to be something you're like, man, I wish I was over there when that
Oh,
happened, but I'm
absolutely.
over here, But to
Like
be
the
like, I've,
like the bronc riders running out on stick horses,
yeah,
Something
yeah.
wild.
I, I just happened to be like, the round 10 was, even though I was in the arena, I don't know if I just picked that side by happenstance, but I just was in a good spot where, like, when Rocker got off his horse and I knew how that was going to go, like, I kind of was the only person on that side, so I could get some cool images. So that's fun to be there for
Yeah.
that.
Do you have a favorite from the NFR, or maybe one that you were like, I really kind of went out on a limb here and it worked out?
Uh, I shot a bunch. There was one picture I took of Trey Yates. It was kind of just the way it was kind of almost kind of through his coils of his rope as he was kind of getting ready for his run. That was really good. Um, and a lot of those images, I have this old. I have a 7200. I have a 200 f2, but I have this old 180 2.8 that's like I paid $200 for it, and I shot a ton of stuff with that little lens, and it's not fast. It focuses a long time, but like when you hit it, just visually the way it renders stuff is pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just this little rinky-dink 200 lens. So there's a bunch of pictures that I took with that deal that are just like I love it. Love that. Like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, it kind of takes you back, I think, too, because it's an older lens and you put $200 for it. If a picture's in focus, you're pumped, right?
Yeah.
And
That could be it.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't even have to be anything really spectacular, but a lot of those images were really good, and then like those rocker images right at the end they're
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
special.
Yeah, it's hard not to love those rocker images. They're good
Yeah,
ones, for sure.
yeah.
Um, let's talk a little bit about like how did you wind up here, right? You have a really cool story. And
Hmm.
I think, I mean, you know what I think about your story. You know that I think that we should tell it on a deeper level at some point in time. So
It's coming.
just
It's coming.
yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of like give me like a how Click Thompson got here sort of story.
Man, I think from the very beginning, I think I always tell people kind of my cowboy genesis. My grandfather was, other than wear the cowboy hat, he was a cowboy. Like he was always intertwined in the stuff. He was a hustler. He was always doing stuff. And I remember going to his house and we jump out of my mom's car and we get in some busted old truck that's got like vice grips on this side of the window to roll down the window. And he would take us to see these horses. Till this day, even my mom, we don't know whose horses these were. We just rolled up in someone's deal. This old beat up barn, three or four horses peek their heads out. We pet horses for about 10, 15 minutes and go back home. And I think that was kind of the genesis of always being interested in it. And then a long time but short time later, 2010, I saw my first buck and bull, and like it was kind of reinvented or kind of brought me back to my childhood and like okay, how can I be close to this? And then I started doing stuff in the PBR, kind of working my way through that. For I think I did that from 2013 to 2020 is when I was doing PBR stuff, but I was starting to transition into the rodeo. When I moved to Texas, that was kind of what really kind of jettisoned the whole deal. So the military term we use a lot is called fast tracking, when you kind of get promoted to a rank pretty quickly in the in the overall scheme of your career. And so in from the first time I saw or shot my first rodeo, like 5 years later, I was at the PBR finals.
Mm-hmm.
And even that moment of like, not so much why me, but like why me? I mean, there's a bunch of photographers between here and Las Vegas. Like, what? How did I end up here in this role? And then 5 years later, we're at the NFR, and it's just so there is a definitely like a, as they say, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. So there's a decade that a lot of people haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
to build up to that, but it's just kind of building blocks to like what's the next thing, what's the next thing, and our community is so it's big and small at the same time. Like kind of once you're kind of involved in it, you're 2 degrees separated from everyone.
Right.
So that kind of was then the deal. And then once I moved to Texas, then I was around it all the time. Like you go to the stockyards, you just never know who you're gonna bump
Yeah.
into. Like Tia with Pendleton, we ran into each other in Maverick, just
Yeah.
at the store, or I've ran into John Wayne's kids or whoever,
Yeah.
just associated with the business. It's just you put yourself in a position or in a place where it's kind of just a breeding ground for creatives and musicians and artists that are around the Western space, and then Launchpad.
Yeah. Obviously, you are extremely talented. No one is ever going to argue your level of talent. But aside from being a talented photographer, what do you think the number one thing you can attribute your success to is?
I think uh, outside of my faith, I think it's just being a good person. Like I've always believed that people are going to remember you for who you are and not what you did.
Mm-hmm.
And I always joke with my mom, said, "Man, it's gonna be really cool one time to tell someone years from now, like, man, I was this really good rodeo photographer, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be some weird guy that wears a cowboy hat all the time, but he has no horses or nothing. They're like, what is the deal with the cowboy hat? I'm like, well, back in my day, son, when they bucked, I used to take pictures and do all
When
this
they
stuff, and
bucked.
and so, but yeah, I think it's the industry, the Western space has always been a really good breeding ground for really good relationships and friendships, like it's what we have,
Yeah.
where and to be able to communicate with people, and I kind of have become a lot of people's therapists indirectly too. So
Sure.
or just the ability to just kind of listen to people and hey, what's going on? Like I have the what I call "tell me about your life" face. So like
Mm-hmm.
usually I just say, "Hey, how's it going?" And then it turns into this thirty
Suddenly you know
minute.
everything.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, people
St-
will unpack on you, but yeah,
Stephanie, who works for us, we always tease her that she like gets people's social security numbers in like the first 10 minutes of knowing them. Like she knows literally everything about people, and I think you guys have that in common for sure. You're just, I don't know, so easy to work with, and I think like the being easy to work with thing, like you can be as talented as you could be the most talented person on the entire planet, but if you are miserable to work with, like
Mhm.
elsewhere with you, right? Like I don't think you're getting anywhere if you're not easy to work with and personable and make those relationships and connections and networking in the industry. It's kind of an honor, to watch you walk across the, wherever at the Thomas and Mack or at Cowboy Christmas, and you can't get 3 feet without somebody spinning you around, and like,
Yeah.
I think that's a really big deal. It speaks volumes to the person that you are. I think that there's icons in our industry, like that happens to Judy Wagner, that happens to Bob Tallman, that happens to, the best of the best people who we consider legends in the industry. And I really believe that happens because those people gave a second to care. And, you're still young in your career, despite being 10 years into this deal. Already having that kind of reputation only speaks volumes about you, and I think that's a huge reason for success. But
Yeah. I appreciate that. Like I believe, pretty like you said, in our industry is founded on handshakes and horse trades, and if you're not a person that people want to invite to dinner, you won't really do well.
right.
And I learned early on that, like, I can give anybody 5 minutes, and a lot of times people are like, "Hey man, I love your stuff," and like they run off. I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, who are you? Like, please tell me
Yeah.
your name or something." Did you send me a message? Did I respond? My bad if I didn't. I'm a little busy, but
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah. Excuse me during the NFR with the message responses, but
Yeah.
for
Oh
sure.
God, my phone is just looks ridiculous right now. Trying
Oh,
to go back through and
good luck. I almost would just send a mass text and be like, if you texted me during the NFR, thank you.
thank
I'll
you.
get back to you by
Love you.
next NFR.
Yeah, for sure. That happens. Like, I'll go halfway through the year and I'll just message someone randomly and like, oh, there's a congratulations that I didn't respond to in December, and it's like
Whoops.
April. I'm like, whoops.
Whoopsie.
No, I love you. Talking to my head, not my heart.
So what does 2026 look like for Click? How do you plan
Man,
out goals for the next year?
it's funny. Every year, I usually when I get home and I haven't slowed down long enough to have it, I usually will sit down and ask myself, what is success now? And that allows me to kind of recalibrate and go, okay, we did some cool stuff. Do we want to do more cool stuff? Do we want to slow down? How did your body feel after 2 months on the road? Do you want to
Yeah.
kind of like change that, or like creatively, what do you want to do? We got some gallery projects that I'm working on. We're in the infant stages of a book project.
Ooh,
Um, so
I like
the
that.
coffee table books that people talk about, we're working on it. Um, how do I want to expand with my clinics? Working on potentially, which I may end up talking to you about, like kind of more of a YouTube instructional kind of thing that I want to
Cool.
do for those who just can't come to clinics, but they just still want to get some of the information and things
Yeah, or
like that.
maybe
So there's
too
a lot of,
intimidated yet.
yeah, which I fair, which is always, I always think
Yeah.
it's funny. I love hearing when people like ask other people like, "Hey, what's he like?" Or I'm like, I
Yeah.
try to be pretty as advertised, but I've heard so many stories of people like they see me walk by and they're like, "Oh my God!" I'm like, I don't know what you were looking at, but I mean, it's just me. But fair, and I get it.
Most people
So
have to look up to
yeah,
watch you walk by, so
fair enough. One of my good assistants, Emma, who worked with me the first couple of years at the NFR, like that was her initial story of I walked past her at NRS and she like froze. And she was like telling everybody, like, no one told me he was gonna be here. I'm like, what happened? And I have no like
you weren't
idea that
even
this is
aware of
happening.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, no clue this is happening around me. But yeah. So yeah, there is I think continuing to do what I do now, and like how can we be a little bit more profitable? How can we be, any stress that how can we maneuver better?
Mm-hmm.
And continue to do the stuff that I like doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like always the goal. It's like, okay, even if I don't make a ton of money, am I shooting the rodeos I want to shoot? Am I interacting with the people that want me to be there? Are we doing new things? Are we expanding the brand? Are we expanding the industry? Are
Mm-hmm.
we opening doors for other people? Um, yeah, so all
Yeah.
the things.
I think that there's probably going to be a bunch of young photographers listening to this, just being Click Thompson.
Yeah,
It's more than just go out and make pretty stuff with your camera, right? Like a lot of people could go out and make pretty stuff with their camera. What they can't necessarily do is also make it a business. What do you think are some of the keys there from like a creative business perspective? How do you make it work?
I always tell people, especially early on, like make whatever you're doing, like treat it like a business from day one,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like so, because a lot of us, but when we get started, we have some type of security blanket. Maybe we
Mm-hmm.
work another job. Maybe we do like so. Essentially, the goal is to kind of transition from that to this being the thing, but treat the thing like a business from the beginning. Like if this
Mm.
doesn't make good sense to go 15 hours to this deal, like yes, we all want to be at Pendleton. Yes, we all want to shoot the NFR. Yes, we all want to go to Reno. But these are really expensive things to do, like especially if
Mm-hmm.
you're not working
Just
for
in
a
the
client or
getting there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just getting there, having a place to stay, although the logistics of that can be super challenging. Um, so like I always tell people, like don't be afraid to start small and build those relationships. And like you can't be the best in the world if no one in your backyard knows who you are,
Right.
right? So like start in your backyard and like where it doesn't cost you anything to shoot something, and then move
Right.
on to the next thing, on to the next thing. Oh, sorry, I know I make it look cool. Like that's just and I want it
It
to
is
look cool.
cool.
Like
It
you
is
know,
cool.
I
Yeah.
it is cool. I want it to look cool. I think one of the things of being a photographer of the year is not only are you representing the photographers, you are one of the ambassadors for the association.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't make it look cool, no one's gonna want to do it 20 years from now. It's like if I don't wear cool clothes every now and then, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
ain't that big of a deal, man. It's. So or if I'm not making cool images, right? So all that kind of goes back into uh, marketing the business, but also yeah, just being smart and being a business person, learning how to be a business person early on, and making those first decisions when you very first start about okay, and we're all gonna um, have to make sacrifices, and we're all gonna have to volunteer or but like take control of that early, so it's your decision whether you're
Yeah.
not necessarily working versus because I was listening to a guy. He was a tattoo artist, and a lot of times I will take different disciplines and apply it to what I'm doing.
Yes.
And he was talking about how young tattoo artists, um, you know, the oldies will tell you to hold firm to your prices and this, that, and the other. Well, a lot of times that keeps you from doing work. So, like, use that opportunity. Well, maybe someone doesn't have the budget for me to do what I want, but you can also take back some of the creativity, or like, okay, well, you can't afford to do it for me to do it exactly the way you want, so I'm gonna mix in a little bit of what I want, and then people still get to see what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do, right? And then because if you're not, then there's just ideas. No one ever gets to see them.
I agree with you on that deal. Like we oftentimes have these ideas that we pitch to clients or whatever, and maybe the budget doesn't align with the idea,
Hmm.
right? Like Natalie went too big. Like I've been accused of that a few times, right?
Yeah.
And the reality is sometimes you just have to like just do some of that to show that it's like possible, that it could be done, that it could be better, that it could be whatever the thing is, right?
Hmm.
In order to get to the next level. So there is an amount of sacrifice, but maybe you don't have to make 15-20% on a margin on every project. Maybe
Hmm.
on this one you're going to be able to use up some of that margin in your own sort of self-investment, in order to show like, hey, I'm capable of doing this thing, or it could have been this if we would have just spent X number of dollars more. I think the biggest thing is like having conversations about that, right?
Yeah.
I think like a lot of young photographers, especially, or young creatives in general, they'll do something for like really cheap, right? Like
Yeah.
ridiculous amounts cheap. They're basically paying to do the job, but what they don't do is communicate with the client that they're doing something that is above and beyond what they normally would do, and then they
Yeah.
end up in this position where they're like selling high-end services for low dollars, so that's something that can come up too. How do you I mean, you obviously spread the business out. I mean, you're working for sponsors, you're working for
Mm.
rodeos themselves, you're doing multiple different kinds of projects. Are you doing those simultaneously? How are you usually balancing things like that?
Usually it is simultaneously. I've always tried to, or at least I tried to set it up where if I'm selling a picture to a contestant, that's kind of the cherry on top.
Sure.
And it changes from venue to venue, from rodeo to rodeo. But I also, like Fernando talks about it all the time, of knowing your limitations. Like you don't want to do fly too close to the sun with some aspects. Like, oh well, don't get so caught up in like I can make money here, 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 and here. It's like, well, can you physically do that? Right?
Can you actually get it done? Yeah.
Yeah. Does it affect your overall performance and the ability to deliver if you've got too many things going on? So I always try to like, okay, if I'm working for two people, then I'm not stretching myself, and sometimes it's just communicating like, hey, I'm super tied up with this project. We would love to do something. Is it okay if you kind of get something on the back end, or versus kind of throughout the process? So it changes from person to person, but yeah, I try to diversify in my clientele as well, because you just never, particularly like the NFR is a prime example, you just never know who's going to call and want something. So, but you have to kind of really assess, like obviously the PRCA is my main client and my first client, and then we kind of build off of that and see what's possible. And so if you start seeing me with four assistants, then you know that, okay, Click's probably doing more.
Click's doing a lot this week.
Click's doing a lot, right? I like, my goal this year was just like, how do I not touch a computer? And that goal wasn't achieved. I still touched the computer because you want to have some hands on.
Hard not to. You get excited about one and you want to see it yourself.
Yeah, for sure. But it was way better than last year, where it was like, I would spend days just in the room. It's like, man, I didn't want to do that. Like when come 8:00 in the morning, if I wanted to just have coffee, right,
yeah,
I didn't feel like I was constrained to the room, or if I just wanted to go to Cowboy Christmas and just say hi to a friend. I didn't feel like we were going to fall behind. So
yeah, for sure. Let's see. Let's kind of switch gears a little bit. Okay. You've done a really great job of taking Click Thompson, the photographer, and turning it into Click Thompson, the brand. Can you talk about your efforts of self-branding and like what has that journey been like, and why make it a brand rather than just Click?
I think some of it was intentional and some of it wasn't. Like I think when I picked that first logo, well, it wasn't the first logo, but when my logo transitioned to a logo of my face, it was so like, good. Oh, I'm like, okay, which in that moment I didn't know how people would respond to that either.
Do you feel like you could never get rid of the beard because of the logo?
Kind of. I mean, I like the beard. It was. You should have seen me before we jumped on, because it's still haggard and wild, but it's funny. Like it's time to let it do what it does, and then we come back and tidy it up before the stock show. But I'm not doing a bunch of Christmas family photos, so they get
sure.
Like we'll brush it. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the beard is a part of the brand, so just leave it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what the bottom half of my face looks like without hair on it at this point. So why would we even? I'm not going through some identity crisis, so there's no need to get rid of it. Like, we can trim it low. But,
if I ever see you without facial hair, I'm gonna call you and be concerned for your mental health.
I should send you a picture. I have an old picture with Shane Chi before we knew each other. I had stopped him in an airport, and I'm the guy who stops calf ropers to get a photo. And then later that day, I literally walked past Little John. No big deal, right? But oh, it's Shane Hanksy. Let's get a photo. They're hustling, trying to get to the next deal.
You're like, hang on, don't go to your next flight yet.
A photo. Oh my god! And I had zero facial hair, ball cap, just regular glasses. Hilarious.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I can't remember that year. Oh god, I don't know when that was. But anyway, yeah, I think just continuing to build off of that, and then when I started to realize how people responded to just the logo, and the fact that people would walk around with it on their hats or their cups, or the whole Yeti mug thing is hilarious. I drink out of your face every day, or whatever. I'm perfect.
Great.
Those patches have ended up on from everything to paraphernalia grinders to cups to trash cans, wherever. And if I had a buddy forever ago. He's he builds spurs and whatever, and he met one day, and he's pretty just grizzled old cowboy. And I think I passed him one of my patches. We got to talking about photography, and I think he was just one of those guys that wasn't super impressed with photography. And I think he put one of my patches on the side of his trailer or something. And one random person's like, "You know Click Thompson?" And then later he smacks me, goes, "You didn't tell me you were famous." I'm like, "That's not." I was just like,
I'm just a
we were
guy.
just visiting, just a guy, man. We were just, I'm heard about, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'll walk down the street and no one's gonna know who I am. Well, not in Vegas. That doesn't work that way. But
Yeah, that's not true in Vegas.
yeah,
Not during
yeah.
December, at least.
No, not that. Do not at all.
Well, one other thing that I love, and like, it just puts a smile on my face. Like, you and Fernando don't even have to say anything to each other, but if you're in the same room, it's gonna happen, right? Like, the friendship and also the joking rivalry, right, between the two of you is such a cool thing. And Fernando, I freaking love Fernando too. So, talk about like relationships like Fernando, some of the people in the industry that have really been part of your story, part of your career. Maybe start with Fernando and go from there.
Fernando's probably the most prominent one because, like, so he and I talk every day, and it is he will never admit like his wife and his daughters call me his bestie. They're like, "Have you talked to your bestie today?" Because so usually I'll usually walk 4 or 5 miles a day, and usually the person that's on the other end of the phone is him. Mm-hmm. So I have to listen to. But the cool thing about it is like he is dripping with wisdom. Like if you can get past the first 15-20 minutes of his BS, like he's gonna say something super profound. But we learn from each other. It's this kind of bickering back and forth. Like we just started, I want to say it's been over a year now, but we kind of, like, I was having crazy health issues. It wasn't like dramatic, but it was definitely something that I needed to kind of course correct. And we got to talking one day and like we call it, so his last name is Samson, and when he charms people, we call it Samsoniting.
I like it.
And one day he's like, "We're gonna go walking." I'm like, "Okay," because we were already talking on the phone, and he burned up a 30 minutes an hour and just hold me hostage, talking about whatever random thing he had to talk about that day. And then before I knew it, we were 2 miles and 3 miles and 4 miles, and you're like. And then it kind of just became this therapeutic thing that we do every day. And so even in Vegas, we didn't get to do as much as we liked, but like there were several days in Vegas, we'd get up at 6, 7 in the morning, we'd go walk a couple miles around wherever we were and listen to him throw a deal. But it's just this constant back and forth, this gentleness, bickering, but definitely I've learned a lot from him over the last couple of years. And that was another person I ran into at Pendleton, and he turns and he's like, "You got my back?" I said, "I got you." And he'll say it's one of the worst decisions he's ever made. But,
jokingly, there's real love there. He just won't admit it.
Yeah. Instead of whenever you hear the F word, just switch it with love, and it means the same thing. But there have been times we've been like bickering in the arena, and I've had judges come to me legitimately thinking we're going to fight each other, and I'm like, "Oh my
gosh."
It's like,
I want you guys, like, if it doesn't happen this year, that you guys do the whole UPS FedEx, like, "Hey, what's your name?" thing across an arena. I'm gonna make it happen in Pendleton if you guys don't do it before then.
Come on, I'm all for it. Because, I mean, that's oh God, it's such just a bickering. But and I think too, from meeting a lot of his friends that he's known over the years, and that it's like, see, finally met his match as far as a person who could and he came up to me, and the best smile laugh I ever got out of him this year. He is notorious. He is a giver. Like he just, when I say gives the shirt off his back, he is a giver. And whenever he has a moment of weakness, as he says, he's going to give away something. So he walks up to me, and we can get tickets for some of the performances at the rodeo. And he walks up to me, he goes, "You know what happens when I have a moment of weakness?" I'm like, "You give away stuff." And he goes, "Yeah, I need 2 tickets." And I go, "Hey, can we work on you like giving away stuff you actually own?" And he freezes, and he's like, and he just smiles because he had nothing to say. But I'm like, before you agree to something that's going to involve me, can we
at least make sure you have tickets?
I'm gonna take because I mean, but he's been. Even for me to get in, he's been Mr. I'll take care of it. Like if you ask for something and he has a way to pull it off, he is going to pull it off. And he will stress about it, and he will. But I said, if you're gonna give away something, can we work on you giving away stuff you actually own?
Who else in
Because
the
he,
industry has been somebody
oh
for you?
man, I've over the last couple of years, I've developed a really pretty cool relationship with Bob Tallman, and to be
Mm.
neighbors, and to, he's one of those people that you could listen to read the phone book, and it sounds
Oh
cool.
God, yeah. We've
But
had the
but
good
he's got,
fortune of getting to work with him more and more over this last year, and
yeah,
he just say anything, Bob. It doesn't
just yeah,
matter.
pretty incredible. There's a lot of guys. Oh, like this year, the awards banquet. Like I've known Matt Merritt's one of the people I've known for pretty much since I've started. So to see him win Clown of the Year was a really special moment. Like Cody Webster, like I spent a lot between him and Tuckness. Like we were traveling partners basically this whole summer. I remember
Hmm.
when Tuckness posted his schedule, and I'm like, if you're looking for me this year, just look at Tuckness' schedule. I'm pretty sure that's where I'll be. Um, but I've always admired him and like Webster and Webster like in particular because he's so good. Like, and I kind of tell people like if you're going to pursue anything in this space, like you need to be consumed with it, like Cody Webster is about what he
Hmm.
does. Like everything is related to, tied to bullfighting, like
Hmm.
either protection or freestyle. Like he owns Fighting Bulls. He's trying to help young kids. How do we, build from there? So like definitely like our that friendship has been pretty impressive. And I think I'm always pulling something from everybody, just sampling, like giving, it's this transference of energy. I think that's what happens when you see people, even if you haven't seen them in a while. It's like, man, good to see you. Glad you're doing well. Like that really kind of helps build that family reunion every weekend. Every time I see you or talk to you, it
Yeah.
gets fired up. Or I think of that moment of Click Thompson. Yeah. So,
It's generally how I say hi to you.
yeah. Oh my god. So yeah, it's just yeah, I get a little bit something from everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a cool industry, and like the relationships that you can build with people that are, get Super Bowl level athletes, right? Like that's not something that you're going to build as a creative, a marketing person, a photographer in the NFL, right? Like maybe a little, but not to the level that you can in the sport of rodeo and this
Yeah.
industry in general, and I think that's really special that people still put their pants on one leg at a time,
Yeah.
around here.
My feet are too big and it never work out. It doesn't matter what pair of jeans I was trying to step into. I'm so
Well, Click, one piece of advice for somebody out there who thinks Click Thompson is the coolest person on the planet. What's the one thing that they should know?
uh, that I am well about me that I am far from perfect. That I every day I am trying to be a little bit better than I was the day before. And on a creative or career side, like find the thing that you're passionate about and pursue that. You know, and the thing that you're passionate about is the thing that gives you life, not just because of it's cool to you. It's like if the money didn't matter, you would do it. If the you know like because especially for what I do and what you do, like you have to love the labor pains, not just the baby.
Mm.
You have to love the process of getting there. The pushing the button for me is just as uh, fires the belly just as much as like what the picture looks like at the end. Like
Hmm.
I love the process of like I last year I bought a 50-year-old camera just because I wanted to go through the process of learning how to suck at something and learn how to get this whole deal to work. So even if a picture comes out in focus, I'm like,
Yeah.
hot day. So, but yeah, I think just can find the thing you're passionate about and pursue that, and it'll all work out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this year, our theme for the podcast has been soft launch to Monday, and it's a play off of the whole marketing soft launch concept.
Hmm.
When you're getting ready to launch something new, but it's a play off of that where like you're prepping to actually get going for the week. So,
Yeah.
what we've asked this of every guest: what is your soft launch to Monday? And it can be anything from I spend my Sundays at church. I spend my Sundays with family. I go through my email. Whatever the thing is. What is Click Thompson's soft launch to? Probably Thursday, to be honest. But we're gonna keep saying Monday because that's the theme.
I think when I think of soft launch, I think about just moving forward. I think sometimes as an R&D person, we can always we can R&D ourselves into handcuffs where we don't actually do anything. But actually, the background I have on my phone is just says the wind is at your back, and I think about like when you're sailing, like, hey, use the current and use the wind that you have. So, um, just moving and getting going, and so a lot of times my soft launch is the hard launch in a way. So yeah, I think just continuing to, or a good way to have, I think a good mindset to have that's a good way to soft launch to Monday is like always have something that you're excited to do that next day,
Yeah.
right? So if you're blessed enough to wake up, you're already invigorated and you're fired up to do that next thing. So always have something for you to push to the next day.
Yeah, I love that. No one's answered it that way, and I think having something to look forward to each week, each day, that's a big deal. Makes
Yeah.
life a whole lot more enjoyable.
Oh yeah.
Well, Click, thank you for being on the
No.
podcast. I super appreciate that, especially right after you got back from the NFR. Hopefully, you get to have a nap, between now and stock show.
It's fine. It's fine. I told myself, or about the theme of the end of this year going into next year is just busy. It's not an excuse. Like I prayed to be busy. I wanted to do this. Like if I miss an email, I just like, hey, sorry, but yeah, I always just tell myself, hey man, busy's not an excuse. Like
No.
this is what you wanted, so this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Click. I appreciate you. You're one
Appreciate
of
you.
the coolest people I know, and I sure appreciate it.
Anytime for you, anytime.